Good day. This is Deborah Wright with a weather observation for ATM F101, Spring Semester 2014, an investigation for Unit 4. I did my weather observation from my weather station located at Still Valley Road at the base of Lackloy Hill in North Pole, Alaska. The dates of observation are January 28th through February 1st. I did my readings at approximately 8 o'clock at night, as late as 8:40 at night, and I obtained my National Weather Service data observations from Fairbanks International Airport. Fairbanks and North Pole are both located in the interior of Alaska, between the Brooks Range and the Alaska Range. On January 28th, I had a maximum reading of 18.6 with a minimum of 5.2 degrees Fahrenheit. Barometric pressure was at 1017 MB, 30.05 INHG. Wind appeared to be a 1 on the Beaufort scale, possibly coming from the southeast. I believe that's 95 degrees. I did not detect any clouds as it was nighttime, so I couldn't see a cloud cover. I will actually try to do my observations earlier from now on. I just couldn't for that particular observation week. On January 29th, I had a maximum reading of 15 degrees Fahrenheit with a minimum of 1 below 0 Fahrenheit. Again, I could not detect sky cover or clouds. There was 0 precipitation that night as well. On January 30th, I had a maximum of 7.8 degrees Fahrenheit on the left side of my thermometer and 8.2 degrees Fahrenheit on the right side. I had a minimum that day of 10 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Barometric pressure was at 1025 MB. I did not detect any wind nor any sky cover or clouds. Again, it was nighttime, and there was 0 precipitation. On January 31st, I had a maximum temperature reading that day of 0.7 degrees Fahrenheit with a minimum or a low of -17 degrees Fahrenheit. Barometric pressure appeared to be 1029 MB. There were no clouds or sky cover that night. However, I did note that earlier in the morning it was a bit windy, and then it seemed to die down during the course of the day. And I did not note any precipitation for that day either. On the 1st of February, I had a maximum temperature reading of 15.7 degrees Fahrenheit with a minimum of 5 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Barometric pressure appeared to be at 1014. I'll have to revisit the pressure in just a little bit. I did have consistency for the first 4 days, and then a severe direction change, a drop on the 5th day. However, back to February 1st, I did not have any wind indicators, 0 on the Beaufort scale, and no cloud types detected that night during the reading as well. Overall, it seems as though my temperature readings were fairly within the same areas as the National Weather Service. I had a high on January 28th for the week at 18.6 above 0, and I had a low on January 31st of 17 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, and it seems to match up with what the National Weather Service had here as far as the trend, dipping down on the 31st and the 1st of February and rising again on the 2nd of February. On January 28th, I had a barometric pressure reading of 1017 MB which appears to be rather close to what the National Weather Service had. And the pressure rose over the course of the week. On the 29th, I had it at 1021 MB. Weather Service had it a little bit lower than that. On the 30th, I had it at 1025 MB. Again, similar to the National Weather Service, not too far off. On January 31st is when it seemed to be at its highest. I had a reading of 1029. And then this is where it seemed to go in a completely different direction compared to what the National Weather Service had, as they appeared to have it rise as high as 1036 MB on the 2nd, and for some reason mine dropped down to 1014 MB. My guess is that I may have transposed numbers when I did my recording for that day. The only other likely possibility is my weather station, where it's located. It's up and away from the dryer ventilator. Went back there and tried to see if that might have been the cause, and it's the only thing that I could see other than my own transcription. So in looking at the TV maps provided by the National Weather Service, it does look as though we had a high pressure system on either side of Alaska on the Canadian side, and then a low pressure system moving in from Russia and the Gulf of Alaska on January 28th. On Wednesday, January 29th, we do see this high pressure system here with a reading of 1023. My barometric pressure that day at 8 o'clock at night was at 1021 MB, so it seemed rather consistent. Doesn't appear as though there was any cloud cover as well on that day, similar to the reading that I had as well, with a 0 on the Beaufort number scale. On Thursday, January 30th, as we see here in the TV map, we do have a couple of high pressure systems here. I had a barometric pressure reading of 1025 MB, which seems to correlate between the two that we see here. So all seem to be working then with a cloud buildup here, although I didn't detect any wind that night. For January 30th. On Friday, January 31st, it appeared as though we had an occluded front moving from west to east from Russia and through the Gulf of Alaska up into the interior area over here, with a high pressure system in which the National Weather Service had a reading of 1027 MB, very close to the 1029 I had recorded for that day. And it looks like a bit of cloud cover for that day as well for the interior. And it seemed to kind of correlate with the wind that had died down from earlier in the morning, where it was more active, and then winds more calm towards the evening weather reading. On Saturday, February 1st, it looked as though we had two cold fronts moving in from Russia across to Alaska, with a high pressure system here. And this is where my barometric pressure readings went off. The interior had approximately between 1028 and 1033 MB. I, for some reason, had 1014, and this is where I think I may have transposed some of my numbers and come up with an incorrect reading. However, this is indicative of a cold front, several of them moving into the Alaska. Here we have a visible infrared map, and we note a strong cloud system in the Gulf of Alaska. Down here, a band of them moving from the west to the east. Here we see a version of the thermal infrared map, and again you see that same band of clouds that have built up in the Gulf of Alaska coming from the west heading east towards Canada and the lower 48. And here we have our water vapor image, and this also shows strong cloud buildup in the Gulf of Alaska heading from the west to the east. So in conclusion, the visible IR, the thermal IR, and the water vapor images that we just looked at correlate with the TV map here, which shows a low pressure system traveling in the Gulf of Alaska with fog and showers stretching from the Aleutians into the southeast area of Alaska, and then continuing into the lower 48. Here we see a more of the low pressure system as well. And of course, after this observation period, our temperatures in the interior dropped to colder than 20 degrees below zero. And I just wanted to show something that we noticed in our house, that when it gets to at least 20 below zero or colder, this left screw on our door lock on the front door always ices over, and it does that at a minimum of negative 20 degrees. Elsewhere in the house, when it gets to minus 35 or colder, we see buildup of ice along the corners of our north-facing walls as well. And it's just something that we observe over the course of the winter. And that is my observation for Unit 4. Thank you very much.